Okay, round one of trying to talk to the camera. This morning I'm gonna talk about haltering because I see this done in a very creative variety of ways, and I just wanted to show the way I do it because I think it makes a horse that's nice to halter and easy to catch. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna talk about what I'm gonna do before I go over there because I don't have a microphone. I'm going to walk over there and I'm going to ask this filly. She's newly halter broke. She had a halter on for the first time about a couple weeks ago. And I'm going to see if she'll turn towards me. And if she walks away, I might send her away a little bit and say, fine, you can walk away. But then I'm going to step to her head and ask her to turn towards me again. And I'm going to keep doing that quietly. I'm not going to chase her until she's like, okay, I guess I'll let you catch me. And once I've got her caught, I'm going to explain how I like to put the halter on to make a horse easy to halter. To start off, I've got my halter ready to go in this hand, and I've got my lead line ready to go in this hand. So, little Rose is cooperating. She's right here. I'm going to actually send her away so that hopefully I can get her on the other side of the arena a little bit so you can see her. So I didn't catch it on video because my videoing abilities are limited. But what happened is she turned towards me because we've played this game since the beginning of haltering. She turned towards me and she's like, all right, I'm going to let you catch me now. And once they understand what you're asking, they'll let you catch them anywhere. So I have her caught like this. So what I did is I went ahead and just gently put this loop or this end of my rope over her neck, and then I put a couple twists in it, as you can see, so that now I have her with this hand and with this hand. So if she tries to pull away, I've got a little bit of space to deal with that pull away and not get the halter ripped out of my hands, because if that happens, then she's learning that she can just leave whenever she wants. And that's why I rope them first. And I teach them to lead with a rope so that they really understand that once they're caught, they're caught. So once I have this rope around her neck, she's like, all right, I'm caught. So for haltering, I'm going to come stand right here. And with a greener horse like this, I'm going to keep this in my hand in case she tries to pull away. At this point, I don't think this filly will, but I'm just going to do it to show you. And I'm going to get the halter around her neck like so. And then I'm going to use my hand on this side to ask her to yield her nose around to me. That's really nice. And then I'm going to gently slip the halter over her nose and up her face. So the reason I do that is because nobody likes a horse that's throwing its head over in the opposite direction while you're trying to put the halter on, or throwing its head up while you're trying to put the halter on. So with my hand up here, I can kind of guide where I want her nose to go. And like with everything, once she starts to yield, when you're teaching them to ride, be ridden, and do all the things a horse needs to do, they have to learn to yield every part of their body. So you can start right there with haltering, teaching her to yield. I tie my knot like this, I see a lot of people tie the knot above. Here, I'll get closer. I see a lot of people tie this knot above the loop. And that comes undone more easily, and it also can tighten up more easily if a horse is to pull back. So I tie this knot like so. I make kind of a D, and then I put the tail through the D. Simple, easy stuff that I see done incorrectly all the time. For halter fit, so because I'm going to be doing some groundwork with her today, I want this halter kind of lower on her nose, because you got more feel down here lower on her nose than I would have if it's all the way up here. My friend Lori just made a good note of this yesterday, and that's also something that my friend Pat talks about a lot, is having the halter or the boselle down low on their nose on the cartilage. My friend Lori made another good point yesterday, is if you're going to leave them tied up or something, you might want to tighten your halter up. One, so they're not getting caught up on stuff, but also because that takes if they were to do something stupid, it puts the pressure off this cartilage down here and up on the bone. All right. Okay, so I didn't catch catching Rose on video, so I'm gonna do it with this camera in my hand so that you can see what I'm looking for once she's ready to be caught. If I can flip this around. Nope. So now she's caught. She says she's ready to be caught again. But I'm gonna send her away because this is good for her. Have that feeling of wanting to go away and then asking to be caught. So I don't like to walk up to a horse and try and catch him if they're facing away from me, because that's just asking for trouble. And it's also asking your horse to continue to not want to be caught. So, got my lead rope around her neck, and now she's caught. Another thing to keep in mind when you're going out, like say in a 60-acre pasture to catch your horse, is that if you go into it with a mind state, like a predatory mind state, you're automatically setting yourself up to fail, because your horse is a prey animal and it's going to want to run away from a predator. So what I like to think about is having more of a horse mind state than a predator mind state, rather than being like, I'm late and I need to catch my horse right now, and going for it like you're gonna grab it. Being like, slow is fast and fast is smooth, and I'm gonna walk out there and I might be late, but I'm gonna take the time that I need to take right now to catch this horse, because next time it's gonna make that horse that much easier to catch. So those are my 2 cents on catching and haltering. So one thing I forgot to talk about when I was talking about haltering is holding the lead rope. So I've got this is a shorter lead. It's probably about, 11 feet. I like anywhere from 11 to 13. Anything longer than that's kind of too long, and anything shorter is kind of too short. So one thing I like to think about when I'm leading a horse is how my hand is oriented. So if you think about having your reins and riding, we don't ride like this, right? It's easy to have that rein pulled through your hand when it's like that. So I think about that same thing when I've got my hand on a lead rope, and I just noticed this because I was holding my lead rope the way I don't like to hold it just now in the flagging video with my hand, with my pointer finger towards the horse. So I like to have my pinky towards the horse, because if they blow up, it's a better grip on the horse and easier to feed that rope through your hand. I never like to do coils like this, just because what can happen is if your horse pulls away, that can tighten up and can catch your hand. So I always like to do what I call butterfly coils. And a shorter lead rope like this, you can just hold the rest of it in this hand like this, or just hold a loop like this, and this can be a useful tool to either pop your horse in the chest or do whatever you need to do. I didn't get a chance to show actually catching rows in the previous videos because of technological ineptitude. So I went back and took this video to just show how I walk up to a horse when I'm trying to catch him. And an important point I want to point out is that I walked up to her shoulder, not her head, and not her hind end. And the reason I walk up to her shoulder and not her head and not her hind end is because it's kind of neutral territory, and it's where I want to be standing when I go to halter her. So it's less intimidating to her, and it's a good place to work from as opposed to getting in range of her hind feet or walking up straight in front of her. Another thing I wanted to say is that this isn't gonna look perfect the first time, and this is a good example of it not being perfect, and that's okay. If you do this every single time, pretty soon they're gonna turn around and put their nose in the halter for you, and you won't have to ask for it. So, stick with it. Another very important part of my halter is that it does not have a clip right here. Besides that, it is a rope halter. Webbing halters are not very useful for groundwork because they just don't have the feel or the communication that a rope halter does. A little bit more about this little horse. This is Rose. She's a half sister to Arlie, the Halflinger cross, and Lyric, the black Frisian cross. They're both they're all three out of the same quarter horse stud. He's a Blue Valentine, Shining Spark stud, really nice stud. And the people who were breeding him or cross him with some interesting things. So this filly is a half quarter horse, half Mustang, and she is just an awesome little horse so far. So that's Rose.